Hello everybody, I'm Michael Shetler, here with IUPUI News. In the world of science, we have a new fascinating discovery with the blowfly. Researchers have discovered a way to take the DNA of the blowfly and use it to better inform ourselves about the ecology and urbanization of the area. So blowfly, common household pest, or scientific phenomenon? A young group of scientists here at IUPUI have been working on that very thing to discover if DNA from the blowfly can in fact help in the urbanization and ecology studies of this area and its biodiversity. For more information, we'll swing it over to our field analyst Blake Edwards, who has more with the scientists behind this fascinating discovery.
Thanks, Michael. In an attempt to learn more about the Blowfly project, I have traveled to the heart of the Midwest, in Indianapolis, Indiana, to meet up with IUPUI researchers Hayley, Hoedel, and Mikey Shetler to go more in depth on the fascinating discovery. So, Hayley, can you please explain what urban ecology is to our viewers?
Of course, urban ecology is the study of organisms and their environment in urban setting. Urban ecology allows us to see how animals have adapted to human activity in their environment. This is good because it shows us what changes we must make to keep the environment safer for animals. However, by doing this, we have seen the negative effects humans have had on animals and their environments over time.
It is very interesting, Hayley. In your opinion, Mikey, how does urban ecology affect biodiversity in an ecosystem?
Well, Blake, biodiversity between species is very important because it prevents animals from going extinct from natural disasters and even diseases. This is where the environment comes into play. Animals adapt to their environment, and more fit ones tend to survive. In our case, we gathered flies close to the river, and we used the flies' guts to gather their DNA. The goal was to see what the animals are like in this area. Our flies showed us that the red fox was a very prevalent species in this area. Foxes are a good example of a diverse species, actually, Blake. There are actually 12 different species of true foxes, each with their own unique qualities that depend on their own habitats to survive and adapt. For example, the Arctic fox is a much smaller breed of fox and has thicker fur and a completely white fur coat, as opposed to the red fox, as we see here, that has a complete red coat, has larger bodies, and they have larger ears. These differences are a result of adaptations in which evolution has worked to produce the fittest species for their very different environments, actually. However, this is just one example. Our data also showed us that we had several other animals, such as the fox squirrel and eastern mole, that followed these similar patterns.
So, Hayley, talk about the collection process itself and how you gathered the flies.
The fly catching process included finding a location that was secluded and inhabitable for animals. Next, we used chicken liver to attract the flies. After that, we used a net to catch the flies and ethanol to paralyze them. Lastly, we gathered them in a container and took them back to the lab.
Absolutely fascinating. What happened in the lab, Mikey?
Well, Blake, in the lab itself, we divided the flies by species so that we could better analyze them. In our case, we had the species Chrysomia rufea. Next, we used our database called BLASTM, and that analyzed the DNA and gave us the results we were looking for to tell us what exactly the flies had come in contact with animal-wise in this area.
Incredible. So, Hayley, tell us more about the location where you gathered your data, and what are some effects of urbanization on this location?
So the location itself was a small bank directly next to the White River in downtown Indianapolis. Human activity as a result of urbanization could and most likely has had several direct impacts on this specific environment. Things like pollution from the city into the river and deforestation could definitely have an impact on the plants and animals living in and around the river, thus impacting the land animals that use these resources. Before the city was built, there was most likely much more greenery and plant life, resulting in more diverse animal population. As urbanization began to take effect, it drastically would have reduced plant life and animal habitats, thus limiting the diversity.
Amazing. So, Mikey, did the DNA from fly guts match the animals that we would expect to see in this limited environment?
Yes, Blake. Actually, foxes, moles, and squirrels are all very common in this area, even with the extreme effects of urbanization. Urbanization's limiting factors can actually also work in favor of some species. Because of the limiting number of animals that are present in this area, it results in a limited number of predators that impact the food chain. This means that animals that are acclimated to the weather conditions and city life can survive and thrive in an urbanized environment. The animals previously mentioned are all small enough that they can survive off the limited resources that the city provides, and the lack of natural predators means that they can, and most likely will, continue to thrive in this environment.
Absolutely phenomenal. Now, Hayley, what wildlife has been negatively affected by the urbanization? In other words, What animals would we expect to see if urbanization never took place?
Well, Blake, it would be very similar to the types of animals we see in the more rural areas of Indiana. Some examples include deer, cattle, and coyotes. Now, it doesn't mean that all of these animals are non-existent in this urbanized area, but their presence has definitely been significantly limited by the urbanization.
Now, Mikey, on a global scale, do you think urbanization will present a problem for environments worldwide? If so, what can be done to protect the world from continuing urbanization?
Yes, Blake, great question. It definitely does have the potential to. I would say that urbanization has a great potential to have negative effects on our global environment. Human activities such as pollution, deforestation, and the slash and burn agriculture method that we see so often in this area especially can have many negative effects on our global environment. We as a species need to begin taking environmental preservation activities like recycling more seriously, or the negative effects of urbanization will only continue to become more prevalent. Setting aside more protected areas such as national parks will also work to protect the areas from negative human activity. A healthier global environment will only work to benefit humanity, so it's important to take these issues seriously now.
Words to take to heart. Well, a big thank you to both of you for your commitment to better our world through science, and we at IUPUI News wish you nothing but success in the conclusion of your research.
Thank you so much, Blake, and for myself and the rest of my team, we want to thank you guys for coming out here and supporting our research.
Back to you in the studio, Michael.
Thank you, Blake. And thank you, Hayley and Mikey, for your amazing contributions to science through this project. Well, from myself here at IUPUI News and everyone else behind the scenes, we want to thank you for tuning in today for our program. For more, tune in to next IUPUI News program next Saturday here on the IUPUI Network. Have a great day.